What's up, YouTube? Finally time for another PARC Drift update. Chris from Pat's Acres is actually on his way over to my house right now, so we can both discuss what's been going on with the county battle to get Pat's Acres reopened for PARC Drift, and where it stands right now and what the plan is for the future of drifting in the Portland, Vancouver area. Make sure you guys do watch until the end of the video. There might be a lot of things that are exciting and a lot of things you don't want to hear during the video, but make sure you do watch till the end. All right, guys, we're live. I'm here with Chris from Pat's Acres, and he's got some updates from battling the county on reopening for PARC Drift.
It's been a long battle. It's been an expensive battle. We've gone through multiple attorneys. We're kind of at the end of the rope. We've exhausted all the resources. Totally feel like that we met the criteria, that we should have been granted the rights to be grandfathered in to continue to drift, and the county did not see it that same way. And the pathway from here forward, as per our attorneys said, it gets extremely expensive. At one point I did put it back in the attorney's lap and said, what would you do if you were in my position? He said, I'd stop. You're probably not going to win this. So that being said, we would like to thank, the whole Portland area. We kind of feel like with your help and the help of a lot of other guys like Brett and his wife, and just a lot of guys, the original guys that came to us 15 or 16 years ago now when we started this in 2009. The pro guys that made it a priority for them to come by the Sunday or Monday after the Seattle Formula Drift events, to just the local guys, everybody. The community has been awesome, and we're very, very proud of what we were able to build, almost on a national and some would say an international level. I know over the years we had,
For sure,
we had people coming in from Australia and Japan, and people that would come to events or drive events or come to schools with Chelsea, or show up and just go, oh, we've been driving this track on the simulators forever and we wanted to come.
I would say on an international level, at least all the people that I've talked to, both in person and on the internet, when you think of grassroots level drifting in the United States, there's really two tracks that people think about. There's Wisconsin for Final Bout, US Air, which is an amazing facility. I've been lucky enough to drift there with the Villains team years ago, and just the elevation changes and the trees and the atmosphere and how nice the venue is. It's just a great track.
And it's a really good go-kart track.
And it's a really good go-kart track.
That's what it was designed for.
And that's kind of where Pat's Acres falls in line with that track, for all the same reasons. The trees, the atmosphere, the venue, the layout of the track, the elevation changes and the banks, and everything about Pat's Acres, not just being 15 minutes from my house, but everything about Pat's Acres as far as grassroots drifting is concerned is, what more can you ask for?
And it was a great run. We met a lot of really high quality people. We enjoyed it. Our staff enjoyed putting the events on. It became a very important chapter in the track's life, if you will. I know we had, a couple, Taylor and Kaylin went over to Ebisu, took a whole bunch of PARC Drift stickers, and I've heard from multiple people, oh, we saw the stickers at Ebisu.
Nice.
And when people over there found out you got married at PARC, Kaylin goes, it was like we were celebrities. And like, oh wow, you guys, just crazy stuff like that. It just blows my mind. I've been told there's 2 facilities that have been built on different continents that were replicated. They replicated our layout. We've had a blast doing it. We built something significant, obviously with the participation of all the local guys, right down to, the guys that came out once or twice a year. I didn't understand, the level of what was going on.
That people actually were making a living in the sport.
Yeah, and then Ryan obviously got involved and did the day after Seattle,
Yeah,
if you will.
pros and bros.
Yeah, a couple of those, and then he just got to the point where he couldn't do it. And Chelsea came in, and Chelsea stepped up and started. I think he was the one that did the pros and bros
Yeah.
thing, and it, pretty soon you roll in, and it's just kind of once I kind of started to understand and become a fan of not only the grassroots stuff, but the upper level stuff, the national or international stuff. You kind of go, well, there's Forsberg's truck, and here comes the Flying Hawaiian, and here's, and you just kind of go, wow, this is kind of cool, man. But even when all that was going on, I didn't understand really the significance of what was happening on our little go-kart track out in Podunk Candy.
Right. Oh, it was shocking for us in the local community too.
Yeah.
How often do you watch a top level sport on TV for a few years, and then all of a sudden next weekend they're going to be at your home track?
Yeah.
Just hanging out, so you can walk around and meet them, and maybe go for rides, and and just hang out with them on an intimate basis.
Yeah. And then, Chelsea came along and said, hey, we're going to do this. We want to do some schools and whatever. And okay, let's make that work. And I know there was a time where we had 3 Pro 1 licensed drivers showing up to just about everything we did. Chelsea would come out, and Travis Reeder. I remember Travis showed up in, which I think he still has, his original first car that he ever owned.
Yeah, is S13?
Yeah, he would come out with his grandma and grandpa, I believe, would haul him out. I'm not even sure Travis was 16 when he started out there, and then you blink and this guy's a Pro 1 driver, and
always been down to earth at all the local events. Yeah.
Those guys were, if you didn't know who they were, you would not have walked through the grid and been able to tell that's one of the icons of the sport, because they were just really, really good people. So we've had a great time. It's been, wouldn't trade it for anything. I'd love to be able to carry on and continue on and contribute to kind of the Portland drift scene and be a part of it in the role that we were. But sometimes plans change, and it's frustrating. And on a more positive note, I will segue into, obviously you all know Brett. Normally Brett's interviewing me. Brett came to us a few years back when we kind of got put on hold, and told me that he was going to move forward and try to come up with a plan B, and wanted to make sure everything was above board and that nobody ever thought he was working behind our backs or trying to step in and take anything away from anything that he had helped us build. When we kind of got the no answer moving forward, Brett and I started talking again, and he has some news, and I'm going to let him divulge whatever information he wants on the Portland drift scene 2.0.
Well, again, I just want to say, myself and everybody else, I mean, we can't thank you and your staff enough for everything we were allowed to do out there. I mean, I got my Instagram handle Drift Taxi because I went to a few events and had small kids at the time, and the first couple of events I went to, I mean, once I learned how to link the track, all I wanted to do was give people rides. And so pretty much
I forgot about that.
A year after I started drifting, I went to Chris and I said, Chris, what can I do to help you help me? And he's like, well, what do you think? And I was like, well, I'd like to build a 4-seater car with an LS swap, so it has lots of power, and a full cage over all 4 seats, so it's safe. And I just want to give people rides all day long. Obviously, Chris was like, yes, do that. Give people rides all day. So I got with SV Performance, my good friend Oscar, and his mechanic Scott Pham at the time, and we built the G35 Drift Taxi that my teammate Shane has now on the Villains team. But again, it's the best part about the facility. It's the best part about drifting, sharing the experience and just having fun with everybody there.
Well, I want to add something to that too as well. That was, when we sort of started talking about, or Brett brought this whole ride along, if you will, thing up, what are the chances of, you know, actually putting people that don't drive into, or, you know, that are not driving that day into the seat and giving them the thrill? And I was very surprised that our insurance would allow it, but we got the green light. And realistically, that whole concept, the whole ride along thing, was probably spawned out of your coming to me with this whole, I want to do a drift taxi thing, because Brett would throw 3 or 4 people in the back of his car and haul them around, and pretty soon you're hooked.
Oh, that was the best thing about PARC. There'd be 5 or 10 kids at the starting line at every event at all times, just standing there with a helmet. So like Chris said, as soon as PARC shut down, obviously there's a big need in the Portland, Vancouver area for a facility to have events. Most of that is thanks to Chris and Pat's Acres for growing the sport so much here. I mean, it really did for those last, it was about 10 years, but those last 5 or 6, we had Pat's Acres in Portland, Spirit Peaks an hour and a half north, Evergreen 4 hours north, Medford 4 hours south, and Walla Walla Villains Sportsland 4 hours east. So we didn't actually have anything in Portland besides Pat's Acres. It's what everybody wanted to drive every month anyways. So since they shut down, I obviously saw a void in the sport in the area. And so I went to Chris and told him I was going to explore other options. The most clear thing that I told Chris from the beginning was, if you guys got the green light to reopen, whatever deals I have in the background for somewhere else would just disappear. And everybody that I was talking to in the background about doing another track understood that, because I was upfront with them as well. Even though I kind of thought the area could support both, if we paved something else somewhere else or had events somewhere else in Portland and Chris reopened at PARC, it just wasn't in my best interest, because I knew it wouldn't be in PARC's best interest to have another facility in the area. So with that said, I spent a few years going back and forth with a certain facility here in the Portland area and their owners, and sitting down every few months the last couple years to go over options and budgets and planning. And as most of you know, a lot of it is just convincing them that drifting is not takeovers, and that the community and atmosphere at a drift event is not much different than you would see at a karting event or a drag racing event or a road racing event. So that was been the biggest thing to overcome the last couple of years, is just convincing other facilities and owners of other property that it is a viable sport, it is a growing sport, and the events atmosphere is not any different than any other existing motorsport if you just give it a chance. And with that said, I do have good news. I do have a local facility that's willing to pave me a track. It'll be a drifting specific track, a new layout. I can't say much about it. I mean, I can say whatever I want, but the idea is I don't want to say too much, because the ball's still rolling, right? The ball hasn't stopped and the pavement hasn't been scheduled yet. So I don't want to say too much and have a bunch of people talk to a bunch of other people and make assumptions on what's going on. So that's one reason why I want to talk about it now. So I
can't imagine anybody would make assumptions.
Yeah, why would anybody assume that you're doing or thinking something that you're not? So that has been going on in the background the last few years. It has been a lot of work. It's going to be far enough away from Spirit Peaks to where I don't think it'll take away much from them. I have nothing against Spirit Peaks, and it's a great track, and it's ran by great guys, and I go there once in a while. It's just the hour-and-a-half drive each way I'd prefer to avoid if I can.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have a specific track paved for drifting with, you know, off-track areas that are designated. So stay tuned for updates on that. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I will have a solid yes or no from that facility if we're gonna be laying down pavement. And if it's a yes, we will probably be open for our first event by the end of the year. If it is a no, it'll probably be a no, not this season. That's kind of where the opinion is from that facility right now, is for budget purposes. It might not be in the budget for this season, so it would be pushed out till next season to get paved. There's ways around that, paving only a portion of the track this season and the rest of it next season. If they do decide to push out the entire project for another year, Chris and I have talked many times over the last few months about doing another track somewhere else, and Chris and I partnering on taking care of the financials and planning and event organization to bring something else to the area before the end of 2024. So can't make any promises on that either, but just keep in mind in the background, you know, I'm doing all this for the sport to try to bring this other facility to light, but Chris is also here to help me in any way possible, whether it's at the facility that we already have organized and planned right now, or they push it out and we go somewhere else.
We just wanted to make sure everybody understood that Brett's was not out there undermining, or, you know, he's been very, very upfront, and it's always good to have a backup plan. Always good to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and Jessica and I consider Chris and his family like family. We've been, especially when our kids were babies and we were going to when we first started drifting, you know, it's kind of weird to start drifting when you have babies. Most kids start when they're out of high school and stop when they have babies, but Jessica and I kind of went a roundabout way at that, but it just happened that way, and it's part of Jessica and I's life, and our kids really love the sport, so it was really a second home to them to go to Pat's Acres.
And their kids will work for us someday, for a while.
Yeah.
As long as they'll work for us, we'll take them both.
Drifting or not, they'll probably have a job at Pat's Acres at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people are gonna probably ask too, because I know other facilities have run into issues similar to this and said, well, why can't we all just show up at the courthouse and just make a big presence and all speak and change their minds so that PARC can reopen? And
basically, there's a big difference when you're up against the county versus a city. If you're up against a city, it can be more like an election, you know what I mean? You can kind of get the momentum and show that there's all this support, and the decision can be swayed. This was something that was dealing with planning and zoning at Clackamas County, and it's a very simple formula. It's criteria. Do you meet the criteria? If you meet the criteria, the answer should be this. And we felt like, I mean, we still believe we met the criteria. The county just wanted to discredit the criteria, didn't want to, you know, they were very emotionally charged at making sure this doesn't happen, rather than taking the criteria and weighing it out and putting it into the equation. We still feel like the decision they made was in error. I do appreciate the offers, and we had, you know, I mean, we got a lot of texts. I got emails and texts and phone calls saying, what do I need to do? You know, so we knew everybody was willing and very willing to jump in, but it would not have played into the Clackamas County zoning's decision. It was a good run, and we enjoyed it, and we thank everybody that participated, whether you were a loyal spectator or, you know, a guy that scrimped and threw together and came out once or twice a year, or whether you were the guys that were there we estimated that we put on probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 180 events from 2009, the end of 2009 through 2021, which is a lot of events.
Yeah.
And some of you were there most of the time, which is incredible to me. We're very, very thankful for everybody that was involved.
Stay tuned for more updates. Yeah, I'm super excited about things to come. Obviously, I'm extremely bummed. I would love to just drop everything and continue to go to my day job and then continue to go to PARC once a month. That would be ideal. I'm hopeful that by the end of the year we'll have another facility in the Portland area to go enjoy the sport at, and I think you guys will all be happy about what that venue will be and what it'll be like to go there. I'm going to show them this video, so like, comment, and subscribe. Drop your comments below. Tell the next facility how excited you are to go to their events, and so they can see the reactions from the community and see the motivation that we have in the Portland, Vancouver area, as well as the support from all over. If somebody on the other side of the country or in another country is watching this video, drop a comment, tell the next potential facility in the Portland area how excited you are that they're willing to participate in the sport and give us a place to do this. And yeah, look forward to giving you guys an update in a couple more weeks. All right.
All right.
Peace.